This PSA was brought to you by the Peter G Show.
You may have second thoughts after the show.
Don't drink the foster. We're really talented. We should get Oscars.
Just pick out a car, for Christ's sake.
No, hi, my name is Peter. Yeah, I want. Here's good.
Yeah.
Madam Perry.
I need to get back in the genie bottle.
Louis from Pennsylvania, you're on. He likes it. It's showtime.
Peter G Show, Peter G Show, divorced dad, single dad, divorced dad, single dad, Peter G Show.
Hey, it's showtime. Wednesday, March 27th. Last Wednesday of the month, last show of the month, right here. How is everybody? Hope everybody's doing well. Time is flying. March, gone. Gone. Make use of your time. Life is short. And I mean that. Bam, March is over. Great show for you tonight. It's a little bit of a continuation from last week, but not really, but all in the same ballpark because I'm on a mission. Tonight, this show is to carry on for those. I'm trying to help. It's kind of like, don't mention it. You know, I'm doing God's work. Trying to help those who are confused and delusional. You can thank me later. So tonight, normally at the end of the month, I take the show by myself. I bitch about current events. Not bitch about, but I talk about current events. And yeah, I bitch about it too, because there's a lot of current events that are really getting under my skin. A lot. But being that when we started out at the beginning of the month, I started out with, I came out with a bang. Tonight I have a guest with me to help me, kind of like icing on the cake, just to bounce off of. But we are going to talk about current events, and because the current events are important. And for those of you not paying attention, again, it's time to start paying attention. And whether you agree or disagree, that's your prerogative. But at least pay attention. I don't care if you agree or disagree with me. I hope that you do kind of agree with me. But if you don't, you don't. And then, you're more than welcome to put your 2 cents in and perhaps convince me and change my mind. Tell me what I am missing. But in the meantime, I'm bringing things out to your attention. And tonight I'm going to have company. Tonight, former Army Airborne paratrooper, former federal agent, retired LA police officer, conservative, friend of the show. I'm going to have Mr. Mike Weiss on tonight. He's been on a couple of times in the past, but he's a concerned citizen, let's just say. And he's going to help me. So that's coming up tonight. So for those of you, who are a little bit weak in the knees and have trouble, stomaching real life and all that, it's time to man up, buckle up, all right? If you start crying, don't worry about it. You'll get over it. But for those who, there's people who need to hear this. So that's what we're doing tonight. Speaking of next week, as I always do, Wednesday, April 3rd, first show for April. Captain Jim Goodrich, he's got a book, Crossing Borders. It's a young man's picture of him. There's the current picture of him. Captain Jim has got over 30 years of stories of smuggling contraband across international borders, and he's lived to tell about it. I'm talking about sailboats full of marijuana, bales of hay. Growing up as a child, his mother used to bring exotic birds across the border. He's got connections in Hollywood. He's hung out with the best of the best and the worst of the worst. He's done prison time. And he's lived to tell about it. And he's got a really interesting story. And I'm going to have him on here to try and give you a glimpse into this. But Crossing Borders, again, Captain Jim Goodrich, hell of a story about basically drug smuggling, and he lived. Most people don't survive that. And hell of a guy, hell of a story, so many facets of him. And he's going to be on April 3rd, next Wednesday, to tell this story right here on the show. I'm going to take a little breather from the current event stuff and just get into some real life adventure. That's next week. You're not going to want to miss that. Also, don't forget, please, if you're watching the show, I appreciate it. I love you for it. But don't forget to subscribe and share and podcast. For those of you that do watch or want to watch and don't have time to watch, I appreciate it. But you can also put an earbud in your ear, Google Peter G Show podcast, and take the show on the road with you. You can hear the audio version of it. It's the next best thing to be in there. So you can find it. It's on 26 different platforms, easy to find. And, it's worth it, people. But please, support. You have no idea the struggle I have with these people constantly shadow banning me. You can't tell me I'm not getting out there, but they're making it to where it's getting hard to be seen. So let's beat them at their own game, please. I will continue to keep fighting that fight. I want to stay relevant on the tube, on the My Tube, because there's a lot of people that are on that platform and they need to hear things, but they're really making it hard. They're trying to silence a lot of people, including myself. I will not stop. I've had enough. And if they take me off, they take me off. But please, while I'm there, please subscribe and share. Show your support. I will appreciate it. All right. And anything else I'm forgetting? Oh, please. I know most of you have had to have heard that collapsing of the bridge that cargo ship hit. Prayers to those people and those families. I can't even imagine again, think about it. You're on that bridge and the damn thing just crumbles 200 feet down into a 48-degree water. Again, prayers to the families, because those people are no longer with us. But it could have been a lot worse. But that's only one way of putting it. It could always be a lot worse. So prayers to the people in Baltimore who have to, and the people with the rescue people and all the people going to have to be doing all that work to get things straight again. Always something. Always something. Speaking of something, tonight we're going to get into a bunch of somethings. It's important that I bring this stuff up and keep reminding you of it, because how easily we forget. We're so busy in our lives doing things, but it's just the way it is. All right, listen, coming up in one last thing real quick, just in case you care. I was on somebody else's podcast back in December, and it finally just came out yesterday. So if anybody cares, I was on this podcast called Funny Minds, with Lynn and Edward Bliss, and it was weird. That's all I can say. It's a good story. I mean, they're interviewing me, so it wasn't, you get to hear some other stuff about, what's going on and how it goes. It's kind of like a magazine article in audio, but it was just weird because this was done on Zoom and you could see the green screen behind me. I didn't even know I was on the show. I logged on and they're already doing the show. And then all of a sudden it's like, "Hi, Peter, how are you?" And it's like, "Hey, okay, I want to try and get there." They go, "No, we're on the air." It's like, oh, we're on the air. So there it was. It was in the raw. And, I got over it, but I mean, it was just kind of weird. Everybody has a different style to the way they do their shows. And it always, kind of fascinates me as I go on. I love being a guest. It's just easy to come on and just, be me. I don't know who else to be, but it was just the process is always questionable sometimes. Some people are, way over the top, and some people it's just like throw and go. And so it's interesting. Check it out. The link is there. If it's not, I'll be putting a link, but it's a great little story. It's about 50 minutes. I don't know. I'm grateful for all those opportunities. But once again, Funny Minds right there. Funny Minds. A couple of jokes in there too. Talk about a lot of stuff. Life, music, me. But, again, enough about me. What about you? What do you think about me? Speaking of me, I want to go and talk to my good friends. We're going to hear from my good friends over at Clean Star Products with their money-saving fuel additive, DX1 Driver. So don't go nowhere. I'll be right back.
Hello, I'm Tyrone Thompson of CleanStarProducts.com. This is DX1 Driver in the news, and here's what our friends have to say.
So I'm here to recap on the DX1 I've used. I put it in the oil and I put it in the gas. While I'm using it just for about 3 tanks. Cleaned everything out. I got every ounce of power back in my truck.
When Jared's truck was new, it had a lot of power. Then over time, it began to slow down. He got it all back with our DX1 Driver program.
Something you got to see for yourself. It's a great product. It's affordable. And it blows all the other additives and esters out of the water.
DX1 Driver is the finest oil in the world from a California environmental company. It goes into the fuel system and the oil. It's the only green grade product qualified for the carbon credits program, giving you better fuel mileage, lower emissions, and increased horsepower. So join the fuel savings revolution today. Go to CleanStarProducts.com/shop.
That's right. Clean Star Products with their money-saving fuel additive DX1 Driver. Listen, all I can tell you is, I know you see a lot of these kind of commercials, but I'm living proof. They actually have a product that works. Not only does it take care of your current aged vehicle, it's especially good on older cars. It just makes that engine better. It just cleans it out. It's like physical fitness for your engine and fuel system. And I put it in a high mileage car of mine, and I noticed the difference within about two tanks. But they recommend at least 4 tanks, and then you just put a little bit less in every time just for maintenance. But not only did I save money on gas, I'm getting better gas mileage. I can feel it running better. It takes less effort to step on the pedal to make it go what it used to go that took more effort. So I would contact them. Go to www.cleanstarproducts.com to their website. There's a phone number there. Ty Thompson wants you to call him directly with questions. He will answer the phone. He will speak to you. And should you, after your conversation, decide to order, tell him you saw it here on the Peter G Show. You will get 5 bottles for the price of 4. That's right, folks. 5 bottles for the price of 4. Mention that you saw it on the Peter G Show. He'll be thrilled. Again, they know what I do, and they still sponsor me. So bravo. God bless them. But it works. I would not say it if it didn't, because it'd be harming myself. They got a great product, and it's clean and green. It passes California emissions. And if it could pass California emissions, it could pass anything. So go out and get you some. All right? Let's take a drink real quick. Woo! Smooth. All right, as promised, anxiously awaiting in the wings. He's basically doing cartwheels, I can tell. I'm bringing on friend of the show, friend of mine, and a concerned human being. And we're going to talk about some stuff, but without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, from the eastern part of the United States, Mike.
Hey, how you doing, Peter? I'm good. Thank you. Thank you again for having me, Matt. It's good to see you.
No, this was long overdue. I mean, I've always kind of chimed in with you over the year or two, and but it was just you're just due to come on and just add a little bit to it because I know you care.
Yeah, I mean, there's no shortage of material for anybody that gives a shit anymore about this country. It's just not. It's hard to keep up with the flow.
It is, and tonight's one of those nights that we're going to we're not going to try. We're trying to keep up with it, but we're going to bring it to the forefront again.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you're going to help join me and add to the commentary because I'm at the point where I've had enough. I've just had enough, and I just think it's time to. I'm so tired. I mean, I understand people. They say there's nothing I can do, Peter. They're really, what are we supposed to do? But I beg to differ. So.
Well, not to sound corny, but silence in many cases, in most cases, is consent. And I mean, I do understand when people say, "Hey, what can we do?" I get that question all the time too. What are we supposed to do? What can we do without ending up on the wrong side of the law? Or, I've got a job, I've got this. I get that, but at a bare minimum, you've got to speak truth, because to fail to speak truth is to literally push the lie. and that we all know what the outcome. History is full of what happens when societies under certain circumstances choose to ignore the fact that the emperor is in fact naked. You know, somebody has to stand up and say that dude's naked, and you know, that's guys like you and I. If that's all we do, that's better than nothing.
Yeah, and as told to me last week, especially from the guest I had last week, Kramer from Kramer Says podcast, Tim Kramer, he said, get involved. And it's like, you don't have to be on the front lines. You could, you know, he put it in a metaphorical, you know, fashion. You could be the cook. You could be the medic. You don't have to be the one who's up in the front lines, but do something. Get in their faces. They hate when they know that you know, and start screaming it.
Yeah,
so
I like Kramer a lot. I watch him often.
Yeah. So yeah, well, he cares too. But again, some people just flip out. But that's their problem, not ours. But again, so that was it. Why don't you take a real quick second and give everybody, because it's been a while since you've been on, and give everybody a brief synopsis about your past. Because I've said former Army paratrooper, you know, but you give them the rundown.
Yeah, I'm not anything super duper special. I'm not an ex-Navy SEAL. I'm not a combat veteran or anything. I'm a, you know, like Peter, I'm a very concerned American. I'm approaching 62 years old. I'm from Los Angeles, California. Grew up in abstract poverty. Was raised by a drug-addicted, very verbally abusive, quite frankly, a prostitute who caused a lot of damage to my family. Not all of us survived. I escaped, went into the military, dropped out of school in the military, became an Army paratrooper. After that, became a Los Angeles police officer. And of course, you can imagine the things that we saw and experienced back then in the 80s and 90s. I worked mostly South Central, or actually Southeast Division, and South Bureau Crash, which was the gangs. And after that, I went up north to Hollywood Division, and that's where I retired out of Hollywood. Came back east and did some time as a federal agent with the Inspector General's office, and ultimately ended that 12 years taking over their firearms and tactics and things like that. In the interim, I've done things like run my own private investigation company. I've always had different irons in the fire, but more importantly than that, I have kept my eyes and ears open to what is happening to a country that I absolutely bought into a lot of lies as a young man. I was really the full-blown patriotic man. If you could do anything you want in this country, man, I was proud to wear the different uniforms that I wore. And I believed that overall our government actually cared about us. And as I got older and started, you know, each thing I'm mentioning is an hour-long story I could tell about what brought me to the terrible realization that things were not what I thought they were. And there were anecdotal things that I saw as a police officer and as an agent that were dirty and terrible and just wrong. And that was happening within city government, state government, and even in the federal government. What that made me come home with, you know, tears in my eyes and realize that, you know, this country has some very, very bad people at the top. And that's pretty sad when you don't know it. And then you find out it's pretty sad. You feel kind of dumb. So I still love my country. I love this country. I love what it stands for. I don't like where it's going, and I don't like a lot of what's happening right now, because I think anybody with 2 active brain cells can accurately predict what the potential outcome is going to be if we don't pull our shit together.
You would think so, but I come across the many, maybe because I'm just, you know, stoking the fires or whatever, but there's a lot of very misinformed or uninformed people that are just oblivious, and that's why we're here. I'm hoping
a lot of it is, you know, none of this is new stuff. This has all happened in societies throughout history, and a lot of that is, in my opinion, willful ignorance. You know, it's very painful to be awake. I mean, you know, the old red pill, blue pill, it hurts, man. You know, I would love to sit and I do dabble. I play Call of Duty. I'll admit that. And I would love to make that my life. I use it as sort of an escape, but you know, you either pay attention to what's going on and then you feel almost compelled to get involved in it, or you get isolated from family members and friends and coworkers, and you get put into a bracket. Oh, this guy's a MAGA guy, he's dangerous, or this guy is a liberal freak, or you know, everybody's going to classify everybody. That's just the big trend these days. So in many cases, I think people find it easier to just play dumb. And man, that's a devastating outcome too, because playing dumb is all fun and games until it's not. And by then, man,
it's too late.
It's too late. And when it hits hard and fast and furious.
Wow. Yeah. Well, you've managed to stay on the right side of the law. I mean, to uphold, but again, I'm just fascinated by the whole deal that people listen. And I've said this many times, and I'll keep on saying it because there's always somebody new coming in. I was probably that guy up until mid-Obama, period. I mean, I was a musician. My life was not, everything was okay. You didn't pay attention to the details. You just knew when something was super, super wrong or this and that. So I was guilty of it too. And people, just a few close friends, because I didn't really, I hate to say that now, but I didn't have a problem with Obama in the beginning. I knew he was put there. Okay. He's a good talker, but
I had no opinion because I thought to myself, I didn't vote for him for the only reason was I didn't know who he was and where the hell he came from. I thought, what the heck? Who's this good looking, good speaking guy? And then when he won, and I've mentioned this on your show before because it's stuck in my memory, but the night he won, I was on business in Chicago, and in my hotel room, I looked down and the cars were honking and people were literally dancing in the streets. And I was looking at the TV and then down out the window, and I said a little prayer, as corny as it may sound to God. I said, let this be the best president that America's ever seen, because you know what? It's a big deal, man. We've got a black president. This is going to mean so much to young people that now can aspire to be and that's the attitude I had until I started really paying attention, and it dawned on me reluctantly. I had to say, wait a minute, this dude ain't good for America. And I remember I could go on for hours about how that all manifested, but you saw it too.
All that people saw that care about, even to this day, is that he's a black. He's black.
Oh, if you mentioned that, the minute I get to the part where I say that I realized he wasn't good for America, that's when you realized you were a racist. The old tired, played out race. Look, the way I look at it now, man, if they're not calling you a racist or am I even allowed to say the German bad guys?
Sure.
If they're not calling you that now, then you're probably not speaking out enough. I look at it now, it's almost like being a deplorable. Look, those things used to bother me, but they're stripes now. That's played out, man.
The thing was, once I finally picked up on, and this was a very close friend of mine. I mean, we've played in bands together for years, and we're very, very close. I mean, they're like grandparents to my daughter. And he looked at me and says, oh, you like Obama? And I was like, I didn't, because he didn't. And that opened up. But the minute I started looking, everything opened up. Because it's amazing how, you don't see anything until you cross your eyes or something, like one of those tests or something. And then all of a sudden, you can't make it go away. And then I started realizing, I always knew he was put there by the higher authorities and that he was going to have to dance a certain dance, but he was a great talker, still is, and he made you feel good. But there's a lot going on, and to this day he still got his hands in everything, and I don't care what color he is. They don't have their best interests for us. Hey, you got a fan club going on over here. These must be your people. Hey, Mike made the show.
Hey, there you go. What's up, lady? Hey, I'll tell you what though, I don't know of a person who hates Obama, not one, that has issues with his color. I'm not stupid. I know that those people exist. Man, I talk a lot. I talk to a lot of people, and I wouldn't lie to this audience. I would literally say, hey, man, I know a few people that hate him because I don't know anybody that gives a shit what color the president is or what sex the president is. That's just some old crap label that they want to throw on anybody that's not in line and lockstep with this mission to completely, fuck up America.
I'm sure there's the small percentage of you still have that old redneck shit going on, but I don't get, especially for me in this show.
It's the majority, not by a long shot.
Yeah. You can call me any kind of names, but don't start throwing the racist shit at me, because I'll tell you, go fuck yourself. It's real simple. Because I'm done.
It used to matter. I used to defend myself when people said that. Oh, wait a minute, no.
Yeah,
but listen, that is those names and that tactic is exactly what I just said. It's a tactic, and it's designed to shut you up because you're speaking things that are uncomfortable. And what's uncomfortable is reality. Reality's a bitch.
Yeah. Well, I ain't taking it. I don't care anymore. I just don't care. It's like anybody starts going with that stuff, they're nuts anyway. You're never going to reach them. But I'm rolling over them. I do not care because the stupidity is running rabid right now. And, the ignorance, as we were talking about. But yeah, here we are, years down the road, and we're in this mess now. And, I had mentioned to you that I kind of wanted to bring up the border again because I brought it up at the beginning of the month because it is driving me absolutely insane because most people haven't a clue of the trouble we are getting into. It's still building. It's like a boiling pot of water that hasn't boiled over yet. And
it sure came close in El Paso the other day to boiling over. I mean, I saw that footage of I don't know how many hundreds or thousands of illegal or migrants, whatever you want to call them. At that point, they hadn't crossed the border yet, but they're storming our National Guard and we're hands on. And it just made my gut wrench because I thought, can you imagine if 2,000 Americans were storming the Mexican border and shoving their military around? There'd be shots fired in almost any other country.
Let's being that you mentioned that, let's review real quick and then we'll talk about it. How about that? Here, go. Just buckle up.
Yeah, so how many women and children did you see in that mob? Because I didn't see any.
I didn't see any either. I mean, but can you imagine being one of those National Guards and your hands are tied and they could have. I mean, you don't know what you're dealing with over there, and they can't even shoot it in the air, anything to calm them down.
Look, man, I got a taste of that back in during the Rodney King riots, which was the first time I think in the history of law enforcement that we stood and watched a city get burned down right in front of us, and we were under orders not to intervene for the most part. I understand that frustration. When you have a job to do and you can't do it for political reasons,
right.
That was atrocious right there. But I think the demographics of what you saw is worth pointing out too. Not just there at that incident, but in general, the people that are swarming across this border. This is not Mr. and Mrs. Gonzalez with their child trying to find a better life. No. That's not who's coming.
No.
Oh, well, you're a racist. You're going to be like Trump that says it's all racist. And not at all. But if you think for a second that these people are going to enhance America, man, you are either so far off of the reservation or completely brain dead. These are not people that are here to help us.
No, we're in trouble. The ones that are, I knew a lot in the very beginning years ago when they were letting people, and I have friends that were like, they're just trying to find a better life. It's like,
look, and I got to say it because I'm so pink that even I look like sometimes I call myself a racist because look at me. But my wife in the next room she migrated it took her over 10 years to become a citizen from Vietnam into this country. And my stepdaughter as well. There's a process that is in place, and it was put in place for a reason, and it was very structured. And it's a slap in the face of anybody that's done it the right way to see these people just swarm right over and get handed, all these benefits and things that the people that did it the right way, the long way, the hard way, had to learn things about this country, had to learn about our history. It's a slap in the face, man. It really is.
Well, we're going to be talking about what all they're getting, but at the same time, we don't know what we're getting for people. In other words, with all the talk about military age men from China, Middle East, all these places, I just unfortunately know we're going to pay a price. Something will happen.
Well, not only, okay, you're talking about something kinetic, which I fully agree. Something is going to happen. There's no question about it. But the bigger picture in my mind, not that I think that's a small thing, but the bigger thing is the reason behind it. I get a lot of people that are I don't know if they're really ignorant or if they're just pretending, but they don't understand. There's like, Mike, what's the problem with letting people that want to come in, And look, you just have to ask yourself, what is in it for the politicians who are allowing this? It changes the entire population, and that changes the electoral voting system. The more people that you have in that are in the census, and these people count in the current census, and when they do that, that determines congressional seats. That determines the number of electoral votes. And that's the true reason, in my mind, I think it's right in front of our face as to why you have sanctuary cities. You look at a place like California, out where you're at, that's going to give them more electoral votes. That's going to give them extra seats. And that is, they don't give a shit about the violence, the crap that is happening to the American citizen, no matter what color or where you legally migrated from. Most legal immigrants can't stand this crap. Right. Because they come from places where they understand what the ramifications of this shit is, But the sick part is, this is, in my mind, an absolute tactical move to garner more power, more political power, and that is that is on the heads and on the citizens of this country. It's on our backs, because it's endangering us in many ways, not just financially, and it's fiscally and everything else. It's gonna backfire. And then it gets to your point in terms of the bigger picture, the terrorism, the other crap that can filter in with that.
And it will.
Yeah, absolutely.
All the above. And when I like when they come in, they go, they're all coming in. They're Joe Biden. That's all they know, is that Joe Biden. And they don't know anything about anything.
That's the hand that feeds you, man. When you get the free phone, and you get the hotel voucher, and you get the bus ride, man, you're going to be voting for, and look, the Democrats know that. If I had to be super honest with myself and swallow the bile, I would have to compliment the Democrats on how tactically beautiful this destruction of America is. They did it right, man. They grabbed the educational system. They're tearing down the borders. They're making everything that was bad good. It's been very brilliantly done, to be quite frank with you.
Yeah, no, they've done a good job. And again, it doesn't matter to them, because they're above and beyond everybody and can finance their way through all this. Meanwhile, the regular people with their children and their children's children are going to be paying a price. I mean, we're going to be a shithole. And it's just horrific.
Hey, if you need examples of that, let's just look at what's going on in New York. Let's take a look at what's happening to the businesses pulling out of New York, the investors pulling out of New York. Let's look at Seattle. Let's look at all of the Democratic run cities and states. What's happening? Is it a shock that the people with the money are getting the hell out of there? And who's losing there and who's gaining? I mean, it's all right in front of your face. But the Democrats, historically, are more concerned about winning the game or the fight. It's my team versus your team. It's not what's right and what's wrong. You and I know you very well, Peter, and you and I can sit here and we could rat fuck Republicans until the cows come home, because we're not loyal to a team. We are loyal to the Constitution. And I can sit here and list off Republicans that make me want to projectile vomit, because I'm not into my team's better than your team.
Yeah. And they both, that's all they are. They're out for themselves.
You can't get a Democrat to do that. You can't get a liberal to ever say for 1 minute, the one thing Trump did was actually pretty good for they can't do it because it's sacrilegious, man. They just can't do it.
I don't like either team. They're all for themselves and not for the American people. Bingo. And I'm for the American people. They got to go. We're going to get into all of that. But real quick, regardless of how bad we know it is, why do you think that we still have so many people that will tell you to your face how screwed up your thought process is and how well we're doing and why?
Well, in my opinion, man, it's listen, society. I made a little video on it. I was walking the dogs the other day. I threw on the phone, and that's how I make my TikTok videos. A thought comes in, and I just turn on the phone. And I had said something like, what really depresses me as I approach 62 is the fact that I spent so much of my life wondering and really wondering how the hell an entire civilization in Germany in the late 30s and early 40s was able to allow what happened to happen. That used to boggle my mind. How did so many people look the other way? How did so many? and it's embarrassing and disgusting that I wasted my time trying to figure it out, because it's happening right here, right now, and I see how it happened. We are a society now, exactly like back then, that has been programmed by different institutions, politically driven institutions, to be on board with the flow, because to step out, there's ramifications. If you have a good career and you're caught at the water cooler, so to speak, mentioning, hey, I really like what so-and-so said, that could ultimately cost you your job, because now you're labeled as a white supremacist. It's all this labeling and this naming people and boxing you into a corner. And we live in this kind of a world now. We live in this kind of society where even people who know intrinsically what's right and what's wrong are not able to verbalize it. And how do I know that? Because through different folks, I have 7 grown kids, and I interact with them and their friends, and they are in different groups of society, most of them swinging left, very liberal. But within those groups, when you get to know people, they look around and make sure that nobody's listening, and they'll be like, hey, actually, I really agree with this, or I'm not really anti-gun, but if I said that, I wouldn't be able to garner these business opportunities that I depend on. Because if any of these clients knew for 1 second that I was pro Second Amendment, that's it, man. And this is the type of pressure that people are under. And, now some people might say, well, gee, Mike, you're retired, so it's okay for you to speak out. And I can't 100%. This is as honest as I'll ever be on a show. I'm not 100% sure that that's not accurate. I don't know that I would be as outspoken if I had a young family that depended on my paycheck. I'm just being brutally honest here. I may have to shut my mouth too, because losing a job and an income is a pretty serious thing.
Well, I get it, but at the end of the day, if you're led to slaughter because of it,
absolutely, I'm not happy about it, and I'm not saying I would be like that. I'm just to really be honest. I can look. It's hard to say it because it's ugly. But look, man, we got to eat. We got to pay bills. And the fact is, it is easy for a retired dude like me to say, speak up, because I'm not, what I'm going to do is I'm going to lose my YouTube channel like I did. That's why I'm not active on the channel that I have now. Because they turn you off in this society. They shut down my 12-year-old channel that had all those subscribers and all that material. And and what did it do? It took the wind out of my sails. I do this as a hobby now, every now and again. I'm not as active as I used to be on any of it, because I lost my TikToks. I lost my Twitter account. It's like they slap you down, man. You speak the truth and you're silenced. You see it because you're shadow banned, dude. I see it on your show. The system is a very big system. But don't get me wrong. I'm 100% on board with you, brother. We cannot be beaten into silence. We can't, because that's like, you might as well. That's just self-deletion, dude. And it's a slow death. It's a cancer.
Yeah, we're asking for it, and unfortunately, it's going to take that, or getting close to it, before finally people, are in fear of getting wiped out because of their silence.
And typically it's too late, because the powers that be, once they get a certain amount of power, and I'm not entirely sure that it's not too late. I could go on and on about the state of the military, the state of law enforcement. I happen to know a lot about. I didn't just retire and forget about. I got friends in law enforcement now that let me know what's going on in the changes, and it's super dangerous, man. It's the same people that are becoming cops and military people now are not what was happening in my day. That doesn't mean that they're bad people, but listen, when the military and law enforcement and all these agencies and entities, they draw from young society, and when your young society has been poisoned at an educational level, guys like me, we said Pledge of Allegiance every day to a flag, and then of course when we joined the military, it meant something to us. Well, they don't do that shit now. And now it's you got the rainbow flag in the classroom, and now somebody's gonna say, oh, you're homophobic, and here's how they do it. If I'm opposed to the rainbow flag above the White House or in the classroom, then I'm homophobic. Really? That's the basic. That is what the majority of the left. That's the level of computing power with their 2 fucking brain cells. He doesn't like the flag in the classroom. He must be a homophobe. Unbelievable.
we've lost our way. Common sense is just gone out the door. And again, yeah, I never believed in brainwashing, but it exists. It's real.
Right in
And
front of us.
programming. I mean, if you teach somebody to hate as a child, they're going to learn to hate as an adult, until they either learn the difference. And this is what is happening. And it's very, very sad. And again, I can't deal with just saying, oh, it's okay. I have a younger child, and we're an adult now, but still with many more years.
Listen, not to kiss ass here, but you and even younger people that see things clearly, and they do exist, because I run into them often. You guys are the hope for us older guys. I mean, because it'd be very easy for me to just say, hey man, there's no coming back. The country's gone. I always, often, many times a month, say, thank God Grandpa's not alive to see this shit, because he dropped dead. But I had grandparents that fought in all the World War II and in the Marines, and in the one was in Pearl Harbor, blah blah blah. But they love their country, man. And I listen to young people, I listen to you, and people that get it, and it's the only hope I have. It really is. My wife was in a country that succumbed to communism. And she's been there, and she scratched and clawed her way here. And don't think for a second that she is not heartbroken watching the last shining spot on earth in her mind that you could escape to. She's seen this before. She watched a country turn to communism. So all these little things that the liberals are like, that's not communism. She's like, the hell it ain't. These are all steps leading right to it.
Yeah.
It's sad.
Yeah. If you know. And that's the problem. A lot of people don't know. They have no clue, and they're doing it so slowly and so almost painlessly, and that it's going to be too late. I refuse to I don't know. I never thought I'd be talking about this kind of stuff, but I just can't not. It's a shame on me. All these people that gave their lives for this country and that continue to, it all goes down the tube for nothing. As if Vietnam wasn't bad enough, all that kind of stuff. And
gut-wrenching. I think I said last time I was on your show, I always have this vision in my mind. If you could freeze frame Normandy Beach, Utah Beach, and show all of those soldiers heading toward off the beach, show them a video clip of the military leaders that are dressed like women, transgender military leaders, or the person that's in charge of our health in our at a national level, who weighs 700 pounds and used to be a guy and is now a woman. Those guys would turn around and scratch and claw their way right back into the landing craft and say, "Get me the fuck off this beach. I ain't going that way." Because what the hell are we fighting and dying for here?
Yeah, there's those wars, and I consider myself very blessed not having to have gone and fought in those type of wars, but that's what it was. That was a way of life, and that's the way it was, and it made hard times brought hardened people, and now we're so freaking soft. Breaking a nail. They got the LGBTQ plus commercials in the White House doing just the stupidest bullshit for entertainment purposes.
Yeah, you're a homophobe. You can't have an opinion on that without being labeled the extreme. Now, I'm pretty sure I speak honestly here with you. We've never discussed this, but I'm going to take a gamble. I'm pretty sure you don't give a flying fuck what people do in their bedroom, because I sure as hell don't.
I don't. I don't even care what they do out there.
Yeah, I don't care. Yeah, but don't try to break my arm and force me into saying shit that I don't believe in, because want me.
I'd say it a lot. I'm not playing those reindeer games. If you want to live in a fantasy land, or if you want to do whatever you want to do it. But when it comes to business and it's affecting everybody else, that small little majority, they make it sound like there's so much going on. It really isn't. It's a very small, but they're so loud. They're really good at it. That's where we need to take lessons from all these screamers that do, like AOC and all her bullshit. She's a good screamer. She's accomplished nothing. She does nothing but raise hell. That's what you need to do. You got to raise hell, because apparently it works.
Yeah, agreed.
Especially if it's for the good, for something you actually believe in, instead of political bullshit.
I think that's probably one of the biggest problems that we have on the conservative side, is that we still want to be. We want to appear more traditional, that we believe in rules and boundaries, and we try to take the high road. But when you take the high road, when you're dealing with somebody like the Clintons, you're just exposing your jugular vein to get slashed by them. Unfortunately, you got to get ugly sometimes.
Times have changed.
Yeah.
Times have changed. Enough is enough. That's all I can say. Enough is enough. I can't make that anymore. I want to talk to you real quick about speaking of, we're on illegal aliens and the alien invasion, basically, which was horrible. These guys had their hands tied. They should be firing above their heads or protecting themselves, keeping these people back. But no, they got run over. But the people that are in this country, Venezuela is a lot of talk because they're just all these people coming from Venezuela, which is another hardened country. And there's this kid that's on, I'm sure everybody's seen the videos, but I'm going to play it again for those who haven't, because I know there's probably tons that are just blind, and I'm here to enlighten you, of this kid telling everybody how he came to America and that he's feeding off of the system. Your tax dollars is paying for him to be in this country and do nothing. And I want to play that real quick, so check this out.
Here's the Venezuelan welfare king gobbling up handouts and hacking the system.
A todas esas mujeres.
To all those women that find themselves pregnant and are in Latin America, please come have your baby in the United States. And if you get married, you'll get more back in taxes. And, well, if you have 5 or 6 children, can you imagine? My daughter is American and she gave me citizenship. She pays our rent. She pays our bills. She gives us $1,500 a month since she was born. I have 6 months in the USA and I have everything you don't have. Citizenship, residency, a good car, and a good apartment.
But it doesn't stop there. The Venezuelan welfare king encouraging illegals to invade American homes and squat.
My people, I have thought about invading a house in the United States because I learned there's a law that says if a house is not inhabited, we can expropriate it. I think that will be my next business. Invade abandoned houses.
Biden's letting migrants break into the country and then break into your bedroom. And a judge just ruled illegals can own guns. Well, as Jill Biden calls them, fully loaded tacos.
This is where we're at.
Look, man, honestly, it's hard for me to watch that without putting my fist through this monitor. I don't even know if you're aware of this, but LAPD a couple of months ago, which I used to look at that as the greatest institution ever created. I was a big fan of LAPD, obviously. That they were hiring people that were illegal aliens. I mean, to come here and actually give them a badge and a gun to enforce laws in a country when they've already broken the law. This is the mindset of these people, man. They don't see anything wrong with that.
Well, number one, I mean, I think nobody wants to be a cop anymore because their hands are tied. They're catching nothing but shit for laying their lives on the line. Yes, there's good and bad everything, but majority, nobody wants to be a cop anymore. And now they're going to give people who have no laws in their country, they run amok over there, and they're going to give them responsibility over here. Like they're actually going to give a shit. It's going to be Mexico all over again.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And then this guy you just showed, I mean, what a spit in the face of every hardworking American, no matter how long you've been here or where you come from. If that doesn't rub somebody the wrong way, if somebody that's watching that doesn't get bothered by that deeply, then you can look in the mirror and see the problem of this country because you're it. You are the problem. If that doesn't piss you off.
Telling all his friends, come on, the getting's good. We're footing the bill, but who's to really blame? The people who are giving them the money and bringing them here. I mean, our government.
This squatting issue is out of control now. Back when I was a cop years ago, I dealt with squatters, and I remember I was like 22, 23 years old. It blew my mind as I realized that it became a civil matter, and because your instincts are to go in there and pull them out by their freaking teeth, man. Get out of this guy's house. But right. The laws there's the loopholes, and I'm gonna drag politics into it, man. These are these liberal loopholes that certainly weren't put in there by conservatives. That mean the minute you set foot, if I go fishing today and my house is I'm on the market and somebody just comes in here and changes the locks, I could spend up to a year and God knows how many thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars through legal fees to evict them and if I turn off the electricity, I'm in violation. I could end up in jail. I mean, how and what reality is that a positive thing? How does that work?
This is messed up, and I'm telling you that there's going to be it's going to be what do you call that law? I mean, we're just going to start taking
vigilantism. Yeah,
vigilantism. You're going to have to
look, man. What to me, in California, the penal code is 459. That's burglary.
Yeah,
this ain't nothing different than burglary, man. If I own a house and your ass comes in there and changes the lock, it's a medevac for you.
Yeah,
and it should be.
Maybe.
That somebody should be landing a helicopter, a life flight out in the front yard to get what's left of you out of there.
Yeah, if you're alive still, because I ain't having it. It's like you give it a head, try. Enough. You work your ass off, and then all of a sudden, you go through again the legal ramifications of to prove what's rightfully yours in the first place. It's just a broken system.
But here again, Peter, you talk about you work your ass off, and it makes me start to think of the Antifa crowd and the people that support that kind of shit. These aren't the people that are working their asses off. And I think that when you don't have anything to lose, or you've never run a business, or you've never made payments and got that final payment, and said, "Hey man, this vehicle's mine. This is the fruits of my labor." It's a lot easier for you to shit on the system when you're not putting into the system. You've been a recipient your whole life, just sucking off of the freaking the public teat. I'm sure that plays a role in it too. These aren't the hard workers of America, because if you look at who are the MAGA people that are so despised, these are the blue collar truck drivers, the people that make this country run. You look around at the infrastructure in America. This wasn't built by people that were sitting around smoking dope, getting welfare checks. These are hardworking Americans, man. Who the hell do you think's in the oil fields in Texas, man, doing that kind of job? Every one of us owes them a collective blowjob as hard as they work out there for oil. These guys out there risking their ass and busting their ass all day long. But believe me, those people aren't okay with this. The blue-haired people out in Oregon and the tri-colored hair people that are running around in their fucking Antifa outfits. These are the people that have put nothing into anything ever, and so they don't mind tearing shit down because they've never built anything up.
Yeah, no doubt, absolutely correct, and that's the thing. But in the meantime, every single migrant that's come in, we are giving them. I just looked at myself on the monitor and I realized, my God, I've arrived. I'm the pissed off, angry, pink old man. And I'm what? I'm the guy that says, get off my grass. And you know what? It's your grass.
Fuck yeah.
It's your grass. You grew it, so be it. But again, we're giving all our money, our tax dollars, yet we can't take care of our own homeless, our own veterans, and they're giving it all, phones and putting them in hotels, and all our own people who have served this country, given their lives, or mentally ill, all the above, and we can't even take care of our own. And we're doing this. It's just pathetic. It's pathetic.
Yeah. Well, where did I hear the other day that somebody was offering $500 a month per migrant that you let stay in your house. And where's that money coming from though? That money's coming from you and I, brother. That's tax money paying for that. And
absolutely.
We don't have any say so over any of that. It's these people that have put themselves in such high positions to where, like we didn't even get a chance. Really, I know we're running out of time, but we talking about that budget and all the bullshit pork that was put in that budget. Our money is being thrown away like it's nothing.
It's sickening. And again, I don't have the rundown on where that money's gone, because I listened to and watched them after they finally read the bill after they passed it. And the ones that were pissed off about it, showing you where. But
I was. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, we're gonna get to that. Hopefully, we're gonna get. But I want to. So Eagle Pass, Texas, was real popular for showing on all these border crossings, and they closed it down and it slowed down. But that's just one small area. All of a sudden, as about 60 miles east of San Diego, became another hot spot for coming in. I don't remember the name of the town or whatever, but now they're dumping them all in San Diego's a beautiful place. You've been down in San Diego,
Absolutely. Yes.
It's absolutely friggin' gorgeous down there, and it's going to be a third world country here soon. I want to play this video real quick because they're dumping them all in San Diego. Some will stay, some will take off, but this is where it's all going. Check this out.
Emily, we just had bus number 5 pull up and mass release more illegal immigrants here on the streets of San Diego. This is the new group that just got off. We have had well over 300 people mass released here in the last hour and a half. Rich, let's walk this way real quick. We'll show the two separate groups. It's a lot of women, some men in this group. A lot of these guys over here are from Africa and from Guyana in South America. What's happening is NGO buses then come pick them up and take them to the airport and other transit centers. And you can see over here, some of them are calling taxi cabs themselves and loading into taxi cabs and then driving off. We've seen this happen multiple times. We've been talking to people from all around the world out here: China, Dominican Republic, Africa, Colombia, Peru, you name it. We've probably heard it at this point. They're going to all different sanctuary cities around the country. We're hearing a lot of New York, a lot of Chicago, some New Jersey. Take a listen to what some of the migrants told us earlier.
Bill, I think we just lost audio on what they said to you earlier. Can you describe what some of those comments that they made to you earlier?
Yeah, so we talked to different guys: Ecuador, Peru, Colombia, Dominican Republic, Senegal. Essentially, most of them were telling me they're here to work and they're going to different blue sanctuary cities. I asked one guy, "Are you here to work?" And he nodded his head and goes, "Yeah, no, I'm not." I said, "What, asylum?" He goes, "Yes, asylum." So think of that what you will. But just take a look. This is the buses picking these folks up. They cannot keep up. There's just bus after bus after bus from Border Patrol mass releasing these people to the streets of San Diego County. And again, they are planning to go all over the United States. An NGO bus will come scoop them up. And these volunteers out here tell them, these buses are for free. Just stay here. They'll pick you up. They'll take you to the airport, or they'll take you to another transit center. I asked one of the volunteers, well, who's paying for these buses, taking them all over the place? Is this San Diego County? They said, no, it's private money. I said, is it an NGO paying for it? They said, yes, we believe it's NGOs paying for it. Well, there needs to be an asterisk next to that, because keep in mind, FEMA is reimbursing a lot of NGOs with your money, with taxpayer money. So we don't know if this NGO here working this is getting reimbursed, but we know it's been happening all across the border and all across the country. So it's possible that taxpayer money is moving these migrants around to go to the airports, and they're heading to you guys in New York City. They're heading to Chicago. They're heading to New Jersey. We heard some Denver. We heard some Los Angeles. We heard Minneapolis. We've heard Atlanta. They are going to blue cities all around the country, and we've also been told this is just the start of these mass releases. We're expecting over 300 more later this afternoon. It's nonstop.
Under Joe Biden, we've had just about 10 million people.
Yes.
10 million people.
Yes.
Let loose of it. I mean, there's nobody.
Getting paid.
Yeah. No country, even if they weren't getting paid, you can't sustain that number forever. But now you add onto it the money you're talking about. This is, in my mind, that is treasonous for not only Biden, but any government of any country. Their primary objective is the safety and defense of the borders and of the country. Yeah. I don't know how this doesn't bother people, and then if you bring it up to anybody that's on the left, well, geez, your people came from another country. Everybody's an immigrant, and that is such a juvenile, sophomoric fucking response that it doesn't even warrant anything more than something I can't say.
It doesn't bother them because it hasn't affected them yet. When they come into their town and start trashing, because they're going to run out of money. And then
you're right. You see that out west, out in Seattle. The old police, don't touch these people, don't do this, leave the homeless people. And now they're freaking struggling trying to get more cops, and they want to bring in the military because none of the things the left implements are sustainable. None of them work. And they all backfire.
Right. They're going to run out of money. And I already hear things that in like New York and stuff, certain, they're getting kicked out of hotels. It's like time to go fend for yourself. Well, then they're going to resort. They don't know what to do. They just came into this country to come into this country. And then crime is going to start. They're going to start robbing.
You get hungry. What happens? You commit crime, because when you're hungry, you're going to do what it takes to eat.
Absolutely. And again, times 10 million. It's going to be a problem. So people aren't upset yet because it hasn't affected them. If you were the parents of Lake and Riley, you would understand. Yeah. You would definitely understand. Something I wish not on anybody. But that's the kind of stuff that's going on. And that was just one. It's happening all over the place. The news just doesn't. You can't follow all.
And if we need canaries in the coal mine, we need to look no further than Denmark. And all of the people, all of the different Western, European cities that welcomed their migrants in from all over the place. And look at the crime rates, the knifing rates, the rapes, The things they never had to contend with before are off the charts. Oh, you're just exaggerating. No, I do my research, man. Look into it. Anybody that thinks I'm completely out left field on that, just look into the crime rates and the statistics in those European countries and cities before this whole influx of immigrants and now currently. Just take a look at it. Let's start with London.
People are lazy, Mike. They're not going to. They're going to just throw out your accusation. You're full of shit, and they're just going to go back to headline, whatever the media is, telling them, and that's that. Again, until it affects them personally, they're not going to get off their ass.
It will affect them. It will affect them personally. That's the only smile I get, is that I hope I get to live long enough to see it bite these people in the ass, because eventually it will bite them in the ass. It just does.
It's inevitable. It's inevitable. You can't have this many people. I mean, we can't sustain our own unemployment going on, our own homeless, our own, all that. And now we're going to, add, okay, maybe it won't be 10 million. Maybe it'll be 7 million out of the 10 million. There are some good apples in the bunch, but there's more bad apples than there are good ones. I promise you that.
Absolutely.
Coming from Africa and Middle East. It's like, geez, so much for,
military age guys coming from places in Africa with no wives, no children. So what, hey, how about staying? What is it you're leaving? And, what is it you're bringing to us that's going to help our country?
Well, again, I know that their country's no bowl of cherries, and they're at an age where they're, young and strong enough to get out or do whatever they want, but it's not good for us.
How about staying there and working to change your own country?
Yeah, well, they don't. It's easier. See, it's just easier to run. It's easy. Just like what's going on over here. It's easier to duck your head down and stay silent than to say enough is enough.
Well, unfortunately, the problem's global, and places to run to are very rapidly disappearing.
Yeah. It sucks. Here's I want to stay on San Diego or California, so to speak. Our shithole, our piece of crap governor he's putting a bill into law. He's going to take care of these illegal aliens. He's going to take care of their medical. He's going to give them free medical and everything else. So check this out.
Now, California Governor Gavin Newsom is giving them a major incentive to head to the Golden State. They became the first state in the union, California did, to offer universal health insurance to all migrants, regardless of documentation. A bill that took effect yesterday will force taxpayers to foot the Medi-Cal bills for approximately 700,000 illegal immigrants in the state at a cost of $3.1 billion a year. In California, we believe everyone deserves access to quality, affordable health care coverage, regardless of income or immigration status. $1 trillion in unfunded liabilities, which are the pension that they will be owing to through CalPERS, their state workers. $1 trillion unfunded liabilities. And now we bring this into this dynamic. They never mentioned the unfunded liability.
Turn into a national issue and a financial one that will continue to swamp the federal budget.
Giving free health care to the homeless right now? I mean, what does it look like for those Americans who so desperate, for those veterans like yourself, who are not as blessed and are living on America's streets? A shame to our country. Are we going to take care of them first?
Where's that money coming from? What's that going to do to people in California that work 30 and 40 years and for a pension that's going to end up drying up because it's given to these people? Let alone like she was saying, what about the veterans, man, who actually went out and gave their freaking bodies and souls, on behalf of their own country, who don't have these freebies.
Yeah, they don't have our American citizens don't have these benefits, and they're going to take care of these guys first.
I don't know how that doesn't jack the blood pressure up past patent pending on everybody. I just don't get it.
Well, but you're going to get somebody who's going to argue with you, but they're not even going to argue. They're going to say, "Oh, you're stupid," but they can't. Then tell me why. Help me make sense of this. They don't.
Well, you just described the dynamic of the left, the entire left. If you ask them for specifics, they don't exist. It's just you're a racist. That's just your problem.
Again, left, right, up, down. Who cares? It's common sense. You live in this country. You're not getting this, but some guy straight off the boat is getting this, and you're in need of something, and you can't even get it. I want to play this. This is a guy who is bringing this point. He needs medical help, and he can't get it. Check it out.
This was the precise moment I no longer was a Democrat.
Raise your hand if your government plan would provide coverage for undocumented immigrants.
That was the precise moment that I knew I was leaving the Democratic Party, because I was a 2-time bone cancer survivor. I voted for Obama-Biden based on Obamacare. And when it was implemented in 2010, I ended up losing my insurance. I went from an insurance plan that was $185 a month with a $1,000 deductible to that policy being canceled because it no longer met the requirements of Obamacare. And I was left with the cheapest option being $1,200 a month, $6,000 deductible. $185 a month, $1,000 deductible to $1,200 a month, $6,000 deductible. I went 10 years without insurance, and I was penalized each year because I could no longer afford insurance. And in 2016, every single Democrat candidate up on that debate stage raised their hand and said they would give illegals free health care. While me, as a 2-time bone cancer survivor, lost mine. Didn't have insurance for 10 years, and I was supposed to get CT scans, chest x-rays, and all these other tests done every 6 months to ensure my cancer didn't come back. And they wanted to give illegals free health care. That was the exact moment I was no longer a Democrat.
You know, I feel really bad for that guy, but honestly, when you vote based on issues that are best for you personally, you're already fucking up, in my opinion. I don't mean to sound holier than thou, but honestly, when you go into that voting booth, you should be, in my opinion, voting for what's best for the country. Because if we narrow it down to just what's good for me, this kind of shit happens. This is a good example of that. And it's a terrible one. I feel bad for that guy. But again, it's like what you said. It didn't really affect him till it bit him in the ass. That's sad, man.
Oh, it is sad. And I'm just, it's like, how does this make sense? I mean, Obamacare was again, he sold it real good, but it was horrible. I had somebody that I was kind of close to at the time, and he couldn't afford insurance, and they were penalizing him for not being able to afford insurance. So it didn't make any sense. It just didn't make any sense. And back to the common sense thing. But they sold it.
I've worked my entire life since I was 15 years old in this country. I don't have independent medical insurance. My wife doesn't either. So she had cancer. She had a very serious cancer, and it costs a fortune. And I mean a literal fortune that you wouldn't believe it. But yet, you know what? We can't afford it. We can't afford to have insurance either. So it really hurts when I see people just come across a border and get handed free medical care. Must be nice. Must be nice.
Yeah. It's like, how did you deserve this?
Yeah.
It's again, and I'm not cruel to people or this and that, but take care of your own and then help others. Help they're crippling us. It's a
if it wasn't for the VA, I'd be dead. Because that's where I get my medical care, is the VA.
And that's questionable too. I mean, I've heard people complain that it could be better, should be better.
It could always be better, but it's never going to get better when they're siphoning money that could be used for our own people that have paid the price and giving it to people that just set foot across a line and suddenly are getting shit that they haven't earned.
Yeah.
So I don't know, it's pretty sad.
It all starts with our Congress, our congressmen, our senators, all these bullshitters who are just having a good old time, supporting themselves, slapping each other on the back, bringing nothing to the table that's worthy for the people. They're just taking care of themselves. And that's what we were talking about earlier. And they're the ones, we trust them to manage things, and they just don't care. I mean,
right in your head, right? It's right in your face. We don't want you to have guns as they're protected by people with guns. We don't want walls on our border as they live behind walls. Everything is a big contradiction, all of it.
Yeah, sure. Because they're more important than we are.
Sure.
You need us. We don't really need them. I'm telling you, they got to go.
Yeah, the majority of them have been in politics their whole adult lives, and they leave millionaires. And how does that work? We could have a whole show on that. How in the hell do you make a government a paycheck at any level of government and somehow end up multimillionaires? How does that work?
Oh, I know. I mean, it works exactly. It's the behind the scenes on how it works, and everybody's getting rich except the American people. They're just enhancing themselves. It's quite a game, and it needs to be cleaned up. And they all just need to go. There's so many on both sides that are just
absolutely.
They're piece of crap people that they've forgotten what it is to be human and care for others and take care of, and again, the strength of this country and the dedication to having a great country. They've forgotten. They're above the law, and it sucks. So let me play this for you. This is recently at 2:00 in the morning last Sunday. There was this big expenditure bill that they were hoping not to pass. And this is where I'm really pissed off at the Speaker of the House, because he was supposed to be, Mr. Honest. And I've heard no explanation to him. He's just disappeared, Mike Johnson. But he signed off on this whole thing, on this bill. Now, this is before the bill actually got passed. On one of these congressmen, or I think it's a senator, talking about the bill that you shouldn't pass it because it was just frivolous. It was filled with just bullshit. Equity money and money going towards giving $400,000 to podcasters. I mean, just
bike trails and shit.
Yeah, where's this money coming from? And go get your own podcast. It's like, I'd love to have $400,000 or $50,000 or $100,000.
Yeah, these aren't. We're not talking about state budgets. Like why does a guy living on the East Coast need to have his money going into a fucking bike path out in West Virginia or somewhere else?
Yeah,
it makes no sense.
A charging station in Harlem, and this guy these people have lost their minds. Check this out first, and then I'll get me wired up even more.
I'll be brief. I'm definitely not as eloquent as many of my colleagues up here. First, I want to speak to the politicians up here that are going to vote for this. Like many of my colleagues have said, you own it. All the garbage, all the funding for borders overseas, but you won't lift a finger to stop the invasion at our southern border. Here's the deal, guys. The American people, though they may be busy running their businesses, raising their families, they are busy, but they're not dumb. And they are gracious. They don't expect us to win every fight. They know that we're outnumbered up here. But here's the deal. They do expect us to fight. And that is something that this party has refused to do time and time again. And it's one of the most frustrating things to be a part of. We know what the Democrats are going to do. They're going to destroy the country. They're driving us off the cliff at 95 miles per hour. Well, guess what? Our solution, the Republican Party, we're going to dial that down to 90 miles per hour, but we're still driving this thing off the cliff. Just we're backing it down a couple degrees, and it's pathetic. All right? Pick a principled fight. I don't know, maybe like the border invasion. I hear leadership say it's the hill we're going to die on. Really? Do you even know what that means? That means you got to take a hill and be willing to die on it. I don't see it. And until I see it, I'm not going to be like a lot of politicians up here and be a cheerleader for it, because it's garbage and it's destroying this country. It's destroying the future for my kids and your kids. Now I want to speak really quickly to the American people. I know you're busy. I know it's hard out there. I know you're being killed by inflation. I know many of you have lost your kids to fentanyl. If you want to help us, start paying attention, and please quit sending politicians up here who come to your town, who come to your Lincoln Reagan Day dinner talking about fiscal responsibility, border security, and then they vote on this crap repeatedly. You can help us. Quit sending them up here, because in case you guys haven't noticed, we are radically outnumbered. It's always the same names. It's always the same names of people trying to stop it. And it's always the same names, unfortunately, who talk a good game in the media and back at home in their districts. And then they come up here and they vote for this crap, hoping that you don't pay attention. You can help us. Clearly, I'm a hell no on this bill. Thank you.
Wow.
Well, they did it. It passed.
Yeah.
And again, and a lot of people, which especially again, I hate Republican, Democrat, but a lot of so there's some Republicans that just said, "Okay, I've had it with you guys. I'm done. I can't deal with you, and I want to leave." And that's not going to help us either, because they lied.
Yeah, yeah.
They lied.
Mean, it's over $12 billion worth of earmarks in that damn thing, and I mean, some of them, most of them, are unbelievable, man. Solar farms in Minnesota, you know, that gets like 10 minutes of sun every 10 years, you know, just
they're feeding their buddies. These people are throwing bones. They're making their buddies money. They create these businesses and they say, okay, you help me, I'm going to help you. And the money disappears. After a couple of years, it's all forgotten about and we're in debt, and it did nothing. Same old shit.
I meant in Wisconsin, not Minnesota. One was a solar farm in Wisconsin. Another one was some town in West Virginia with a population of 2,300, and the amount of money that they put for this bike trail could have literally bought each person in the whole town, a $1,300 bike. You know, I mean, just it's all crooked crap, man.
It's all crap, but again. They passed that bill. Who's there on a Sunday voting at 2:00 in the morning? They do it on purpose. Everybody's asleep.
That should be illegal to do it that way.
True, it should be. The media's not there. They're not there covering it. So they just pass it under the sheet of darkness, and it's passed. But more so, again, our fearless Speaker of the House, who is supposed to be a God-fearing man, an honest man, and all that, he let it happen. And I don't understand this. And nobody has said a word about it besides condemning him. But this is pitiful. Yeah, pitiful. There's going to be a problem because now they want to oust him. We're going to be left with nothing. And then the Dems are going to just take over. And
that's going to work right in favor of the Democrats. That's right.
All right. Suicide. Yeah. And for those who are cheering on, yay, Democrats, you're freaking idiots for thinking that way, because you're going to suffer too. It's not about Democrats. It's about morals and just common sense. To everybody, I believe that they're with the party. The old days, my parents, it was all about, you're there Democrat because you're Democrat. It's like those days are over. Yeah. They're over. It's insane now. The Democrats have lost their minds. The squad and all that. It's like, forget it. I'd jump ship in a heartbeat, which I did. Because I go, this isn't anything. This doesn't make any sense. Yeah. Not that I'm a big Republican fan either, but it's like, well, they're sounding a lot more sane than those fuckers.
Yeah, exactly. I don't like to say that I'm a Republican because I end up basically saying I'm a conservative. And then if somebody really wants to push me, I guess I hate labels, but if you had to put a label on me, I'd say constitutional conservative.
Yeah, exactly. I want what's best.
I think the minute we align ourselves with one team or the other, that it becomes part of the problem. Because then it starts to become like a freaking game, and it's not a game. The stakes are much higher.
Yeah, this isn't funny anymore.
No.
And so, okay, well, last video, and then because I got to start wrapping it up, we're going.
Sure.
It's just the way it is, I can't help it. I want to finish this, but it's come to the point again to where we don't have enough police protection. There's too many laws protecting people that don't deserve to be protected, things like that. And this is a little prediction for the summer of 2024 where things are going. And I'll let you decide, but check this out.
You guys think George Floyd was bad? Wait until this summer when it's the migrants versus the citizens of the United States. And you're forced to join in because there is not enough police and there is not enough military to handle the millions of migrants that have been let in. What kind of chaos do you think will happen when those riots start to pop off? Have you seen the acceleration of the promotion of these crimes that they are committing across mass media? They are starting to ramp up migrant crime just like they ramped up police officer crime against black people in 2020. Now they're doing that with migrants against citizens, and what they're going to try to do is to create a riot situation all summer long, total disruption that the American man and citizen is going to have to participate in.
Your thoughts?
there's so many ways to go with that, Peter. I mean, I've got some sources within the law enforcement community that have said and made it very clear to me that you have extremely not rare, but an extreme amount of cartel activity deep within our country that are literally calling the shots on a lot of things. DEA guys that are telling local cops, hey man, if you get a call in this building, man, you better come, platoon deep, because these people are armed to the teeth, and they are not. This is a different type of people that have come across the border, not just, Mr. and Mrs. I want a better life. And some of these people come from countries where violence is just as common. And I mean, like machetes and people getting their entrails yanked out is just as common as, going out, going checking on your mail. These people are not new to violence, not all of them, but there's a lot of locations in the world. A lot of the people that are like, hey, welcome, a lot of those people have never left this country. I've traveled around this world, man, and I've seen some shit, and I'm aware of other things that I haven't personally experienced. And I don't know if what he said is going to come to fruition. I hope not, but I can't really give you a good argument as to why it wouldn't, because it would play right into the hands of those who want to divide and conquer. I mean, what can be going on behind the scenes if we're all, trying to stay alive because of all the shit going on out in the streets?
No doubt. I truly look, again, they're going to start cutting off their money, and they're going to start being broke, not knowing what to do. They're in this country right now, just just living high on the hog, and all of a sudden, no money. Shit's going to start getting, trouble's going to start brewing, and what's going to happen after that? You're going to have to protect your own, because there's not going to be enough cops to be able to handle this shit.
And God help the people that look like you or I that happen to do something that in the interest of protecting our own, happens to harm somebody that's a little bit darker, because you're going to lose that battle in court. You're a racist guy that just couldn't wait to go out and hurt somebody that didn't look like you. That's the narrative that's going to come down. I mean, it's just going to happen.
Well, I pray that we don't get there, but unfortunately, I just don't see things going to get any better until we turn this ship around. I mean, really just grab the bull by the horns and start doing some of the things that have been talked about doing. I don't
want to make it a big spiritual thing, but for those that believe, man, don't forget to keep your prayers going for this country and for the world. It's not just America. The world is in turmoil now, and for certain people that believe a certain way, that's sort of kind of what's been predicted and what's coming. But I like to keep God at the forefront of my thoughts in the morning, afternoon, and at night, because at the end of the day, a lot of this is beyond your control and my control, and we got to have faith, man. And just if you believe, then lean on that faith, and don't forget to keep your prayers strong and current.
Absolutely.
And often.
Absolutely. I mean, every bit helps, but again, I still say that people need to do their part, no matter how little. Burying their head in the sand is all they're doing is slowly, killing themselves in one way, shape, or form. We have to band together. But again, the common sensibility of this whole deal, if you don't see it, then you just don't see it. But it blows my mind.
Yeah.
Look, we're out of time. We've gone, we've talked, we've said, we've done. I hope we make a point, and it that it strikes somebody that says you might be right, because we are. But I appreciate you coming on and staying up and taking the time and being on the show. It's been a while. It's going to be an interesting summer into the fall.
Hang on tight.
So I invite you back. Should you have get the urge and have something to say, just let me know, because I'm staying on this. I'm not letting, I talk about a lot of things. We got a lot of different topics throughout the rest of the year, but this is the number one priority, because it's life and our lives. And I'm not having it. We're going to.
Thanks for having me. And thank you for your concern and dedication to the country and to the state of the union, as it were, man. I mean, as one American to another, I appreciate it. I appreciate what you do, man.
Again, to me, this is, I'm scratching the surface. I don't know what else to do, though, because, that's the same thing. It's like I have a voice to some, and I just said, okay, at least I can use it. But, I don't know exactly what to do, but this is what my gut told me to go do. Well, I'm doing it.
Well, keep doing it. Keep
bringing
doing it, because knowledge is power. And if one person accidentally stumbles onto one video and it causes them to think, and that it's like a little flower in a desert, I mean, it may lead to other flowers, and maybe the desert will turn green, so to speak.
That's how I came into it. Somebody turned me on slowly. It took a bunch of times, but I caught on. And again, I just feel if I just keep having happy-go-lucky shows talking about candies and nice little things, shame on me, because I'm no better than the rest then. So here we are. All right, look, thank you for showing up, for being here, for doing your part as well. Let's tell everybody where they can find you. Why don't you tell me real quick where they can find you if they want to check out some of your videos and things like that, because that's important too.
Yeah, so if you look into any of my stuff, you're going to notice that there's no theme at all. I mean, I will put on a wig and say something funny that I think of at the moment, and then the next one will be something really tear-jerking, talking about politics or my dogs. So if you're interested in just kind of an off-the-wall thinking guy that's got a lot of experience and likes to talk, you can find me on TikTok under, I think it's Airborne 80.
It is.
Yeah, I've got multiple TikTok channels. So Airborne 80 is one. You can find me on YouTube under Airborne 80. You can find me on Instagram. I think it's Airborne 80 or Airborne 1980. You probably by now know what year I went to paratrooper school in the Army Jump School, 1980. So and I've got podcasts that are upcoming. I've got some I've done. You can find those under Podbean is the name of the app that I use. And again, that is I think that's going to be under Falling Awake, or it might be under Airborne 82. Either way, stick with the YouTube and the TikTok, and I'll always put everything out on TikTok to direct you to where I'm going to be. So yeah, follow me on TikTok if you're interested.
And that I do. So,
all right.
So listen, again, thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Everybody's got shit going on in their lives, and they don't have to, but you made the effort, in spite life getting in the way and all that kind of stuff. But I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I hope you do too. And I hope that we're going to make a difference. So we'll be talking to you soon. All right.
Be safe, brother. All right.
All right. Peace. Uno momento. Woo! Smooth. Have to say it because it's true. I want to thank Mike Weiss for coming on the show. Devout American. He loves this country. And so should you. We're living in it. We've got it better than so many, but yet we're watching it all go away, and it'll be too late. Either way, I thank him for coming and showing up for Life of Peter G, the Peter G Show, every Wednesday, like clockwork, God willing. 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, and 9 p.m. on the East Coast every week. This is where we're at. You can catch the show on demand on YouTubes and Facebooks and LinkedIn's. I mean, we're on 11 different video platforms. And if you don't have time to watch the show, I love when you watch the show. I know it takes a lot of dedication, though. But put an earbud in your ear. You can listen to the Peter G Show while you're driving, while you're at work. Because let's face it, work is boring. Just Google Peter G Show podcast. You can get the audio version of it. It's on like 26 different platforms, all the majors, you name it. It's there. But please, please, please participate. Follow and subscribe. I need your help. Please. Also, lastly, I want to remind you, don't forget, next week, Wednesday, April 3rd, author of Crossing Borders, Captain Jim Goodrich. He's got this book. This man was a contraband smuggler, drug smuggler for over 30 years. He's seen it, done it all. Sailboats full of bales of marijuana, pot. The stories live on and on and on. He's quite a person. He's got connections with Hollywood, with the baddest of the bad, the goodest of the good. I'm going to let him come on and tell this story because this is his first book of a series of books, but he's lived to tell about it. Captain Jim Goodrich right here. Drug smuggling. True story. And I mean, as I've been reading the book, it's just, what hasn't he done? It's crazy, but that's the life he's led. And Still living, and now he's living a good, clean life. I mean, but he lived to tell about it and telling the story. Wednesday, April 3rd, right here on Life of Peter G. Crossing Borders with Captain Jim Goodrich. Smuggling contraband for over 30 years, lived to tell about it. Don't miss it. All right? Again, lastly, thank you for watching. And please, I know life is tough. I do. I get it. There's a lot of days when I want to rip my hair out of my head. I do. It's an everyday thing, but I get up because I love life. You don't have to take a bunch of shit from people. It's hard out there. But you don't have to be an ass either, okay? Just be kind. Be kind. Take a deep breath. Things I'm forever, ever learning. I promise you. It's hard. Easier said than done. But in time, you kind of figure it out. Deal with it. Life is short. All right? Enjoy. My name is Peter G. I want to thank you for watching. See you next time. And as always, I truly do love you guys. And peace out.
Peter G Show. Peter G Show. Divorced dad. Single dad.